This photo was taken in 1941 at the reopening of the South Forks Bridge in Canada. At first glance it looks like any other picture from that period in time. But if you check out the details, something isn't quite right. There seems to be one man dressed in modern clothing among the hats and suit jackets of the 1940s. He also seems to be holding a modern camera, wearing odd glasses and sporting a logo that doesn't quite fit the time period. In 1964, French photographer Robert Sarek spotted and took a quick picture of what resembles a giant snake-like creature resting on the sea floor off the coast of Queensland, Australia. While some have offered the idea that it's a giant tarp, no credible explanation has ever been found for this bizarre photo. Since the 1940s, and possibly earlier, there has been a strange light phenomenon observed in the Hessdalen Valley, Norway. The spectacle has a form of white or yellow light of unknown origin standing or floating about ground level. Between 1981 to 1984, the lights were observed up to 20x per week, but have drastically reduced in frequency since then, only appearing about 10-20 times per year. Despite ongoing research and numerous hypotheses, there has yet to be a convincing explanation. In 2000, 2 photographs said to be of a skunk ape were taken by an anonymous woman and mailed to the Sarasota County, Florida, Sheriff's Department. The photographs were accompanied by a letter from the woman in which she claims to have photographed an ape in her backyard. People claim that it's a black bear, but it doesn't share a resemblance. As most families would, the Coopers moved into their new home in Texas and wanted to take a photograph of the family sitting together. However, as the photo was taken, a body appears to be falling from the ceiling. As further investigation has brought no plausible explanation, there are many speculations as to what is happening. Nearly all human civilizations have legends of giants, men standing many feet taller than the average with titanic strength. But no fossil evidence has ever been found of one, unless you count the disturbing photographs taken by a man named Gregor Spory in 1985. On a trip to Egypt, Spory met an old grave robber who was in possession of a mummified finger measuring 15 inches long, one that would have had to come from a man at least 12 feet tall. Nobody's ever been able to explain or debunk the pictures he took. Footage from a Charlie Chaplin promotional film shot in 1928 show a woman who appears to be talking on a cell phone. While many have attacked the idea of what's happening, her mannerisms and body language are very similar to what you'd see today if you observed a person walking and talking on their phone. On May 20, 1967, Stefan Michalak was in the woods near Falcon Lake, Manitoba, Canada when he saw 2 cigar-shaped UFOs land close by. When the door on one of the crafts opened, Michalak heard voices, and then tried to communicate with the beings inside. He approached the door of the craft, but couldn't make out anything inside except for what he described to be a maze of lights. Suddenly, the aircraft's door closed, and the object began to rise. It then expelled some sort of hot air at Michalak through a grid-like vent that caused his shirt to erupt in flames. At a local hospital, doctors were puzzled by the gridded burn pattern all across Michalak's chest, which you can see in the photo above. Jim Templeton took this photo of his daughter while they were out for the day. At the time of the photo, Templeton didn't notice anything strange in the marsh area where they were. However, after the film was developed, he noticed what appeared to be a spaceman standing right behind his daughter. There was no one else around when the photo was taken, and Kodak even weighed in, saying that the film was not altered in any way. This image was taken by Apollo 17 in December of 1972, during its flight to the moon. NASA listed this image as blank, but after touching the photo up you can see it's anything but. By turning up the contrast, a pyramidal structure is revealed. NASA has not provided a statement as of today on the issue. Most ghost pictures can be pretty easily explained away as the result of double exposures or other trickery. But this chilling shot snapped by the Reverend K.F. Lord in the interior of North Yorkshire's Newby Church has thus far defied any earthly explanations, despite being examined by multiple experts. The shot shows a spectral figure wearing a cowl and standing by the altar, but Lord swears there were no people in the church when he took the shot in 1963. It's one of the most famous paranormal photographs of all time. This is one of the most famous unexplained images of all time. While the focus of the picture is on Mary, something creepy hovers above her left shoulder. There's an object that appears to be some sort of UFO hovering above the cliffs. Just below it you can see a man and his dog looking up at the saucer. Freddy Jackson was accidentally killed by an airplane propeller while working as a mechanic. 2 days later, his squadron took a group photo. Whenever the photo was finally developed, Freddy seemed to appear in the photo. To add to the mystery of the photo, not only did the entire crew openly admit that this was Jackson, but this photo was taken on the day of his funeral. On March 13, 1997, a series of bright unidentified lights appeared over the city of Phoenix, Arizona and remained there, completely stationary, for hours. The Air Force said that the lights were flares dropped for a training exercise. However, the lights reappeared over Phoenix in 2007 and 2008. They still have not been explained. The Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, was a rumored enemy attack and subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage which took place in February of 1942. According to some modern ufologists, the picture of the supposed attack might actually show an extraterrestrial aircraft. One of the most famous religious apparitions of all time, Our Lady of Town, was observed over a staggering 2-year period starting in 1968. First spotted by a Muslim bus mechanic, the glowing form of the Virgin Mary was mistaken for a woman preparing to jump from the roof of the Church of St. Mary. Police investigated and found nobody on the roof, but from that point forward the glowing ghost of Jesus' mother appeared multiple times a week, being photographed many times without any real explanation as to the cause of the phenomenon. Murder scene photos typically help investigators put together the pieces surrounding a death. But what St. Petersburg, Florida cops snapped in 1951 has baffled us for over half a century. The death scene of Mary Reeser was a grim and bizarre one. The woman's entire body had been engulfed by flame in her armchair, consuming everything but her left foot, which was intact. The intense heat had actually shrunken her skull, but bizarrely nothing else in the room was touched. The pictures baffle forensic investigators to this day. The death of Elisa Lam has been a mystery ever since it happened in 2013. The 21-year-old student was found dead in a rooftop water tank at Hotel Cecil, where she had been staying. It's not entirely known how she got onto the roof, which was barricaded at the time, but there is a very bizarre elevator videotape showing her at the hotel the day she went missing. In the footage, Lam is seen exiting and re-entering the elevator, talking and gesturing to the hallway outside, and sometimes seen hiding within the elevator, which was oddly malfunctioning that day. The woman in the brown coat, or the babushka lady as she was later called by the FBI, was very close to JFK when he was assassinated in Dallas. According to eyewitnesses, this woman filmed the entire thing. It's thought that from her vantage point, she may have been able to answer some critical questions about what really happened that day. However, the FBI was never able to track her down, and no one has since been able to figure out the identity of this mystery observer. In 1975, Diane and Peter Berthelot visited the Worstead Church in Norfolk, UK. While at the church, Peter took a photo of his wife sitting and praying on one of the church benches. Whenever they developed the film, there was a bizarre ghostly figure sitting behind Diane. When they went back to the church, a local vicar told them it was the White Lady, the ghost of a healer who was believed to haunt the church. Most atmospheric phenomena are easily attributed to swamp gas or other natural phenomenon, but this photo of the Naga lights over the Mekong River in Vietnam has baffled scientists for decades. The red-hot fireballs jet out of the water and descend hundreds of feet into the air before disappearing, and can be seen in the hundreds some night. What's bizarre about these is that they rise so high. Typically these phenomena are fixed at ground level. There are plenty of local superstitions as to what causes them but no definitive explanation. Dean Corll, later dubbed as the Candyman, was a serial killer who abducted, raped, tortured and killed 28 young boys between 1970 and 1973. However, in 2012, 40 years after these gruesome crimes, a mysterious photo of a terrified handcuffed boy was found in one of Coral's accomplices' possession. As scary as the photo is itself, things got much more agonizing when it was found out that the boy was not any of the original 28. Supposedly, there is an ancient, dark object that has been orbiting Earth for the last 13,000 years called the Black Knight satellite. No one knows how it got there, its purpose, or even who started calling it the Black Knight. The photo above was taken during an American space shuttle mission to the International Space Station in 1998.